Superhuman Fitness Podcast, SHF show episode number 4. In this video, I'm going to be having a special guest named Sarrah Rose. Sarrah is a sex coach and she trains in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I'm going to have her introduce herself right now and then we're going to get into the podcast. For the people that don't know who you are, do you just want to give a quick little summary?
Yeah, of course. I'm Sarrah Rose, and I'm trained Brazilian Jiu Jitsu at the John Jack Machado School in Austin, Texas. I am a sex coach. I specialize in Tantra and men's sexuality, and I have my company is called Tantra Activation. So I work with guys specifically around the psychological, the emotional components of things that keep them from really thriving sexually, to really be able to experience sex and be the best lover that the woman they're with has ever had. And I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's my love. It's where I get to go and just get out of my head and the stress of running a business. I get to release there on the mat.
Yeah, you've been doing it for 2 years now, right?
Yeah, well, so I've been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 1 year now, and then prior to that, I was at a school that just kind of does a lot of random stuff, but I didn't know anything about Jiu-Jitsu at that point, so I didn't really know any better. But I guess I do some Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, some Judo, knife and stick work.
Yeah.
They had us learning kanji, learning how to write in Japanese, because I really need that to defend myself.
So is this more of a grappling self-defense type school, or is it just everything goes?
Yeah, I think they just kind of made stuff up as they went along.
So yeah, okay, McDojo type school, you think?
Thankfully, I got out of there.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
So what was your decision to start doing sex coaching and just martial arts and what's got you into all that to start?
So I started doing yoga when I was living in New York. I was actually in the fashion industry. I went to school at Fashion Institute of Technology. And when I was there, I needed a PE credit. So I took a yoga class and I just really loved it. And continued doing yoga, on my own, and then developed, more of the lifestyle practices around it. And I had a real deep desire to train. And so I actually went to India. So, most people don't realize that yoga comes from Tantra. So Tantra is the bigger umbrella, but yoga is a part of that. And so there was a school that actually trained people to become teachers in Tantra, White Tantra and Kundalini. And so I went to India twice and trained there. And the second time I was in India, I met my guru and became, went down that lineage with him. And then I started teaching that, and I really felt like there was more, another way that I could help people. And so I found a certification program and became certified as a sex, love, and relationship coach, specialized in men's sexuality and in Tantra there. But it really goes more into the deeper therapeutic practices of how to people really show up fully as in their sexuality. Because most people have stunted growth when it comes to sexuality because we live in such a sex negative society that they just don't even know how to maturely address sex. And so they come to it from a place of lack and need and wounding rather than just fully showing up present with the person that they're with.
Yeah. So it was mainly yoga that got you in, but what made you decide to go towards the men's coaching rather than women's coaching?
So yeah, I was actually working with women first. I was a women's sex coach, and the women kept saying to me, "Sarrah, please teach the men."
Fair enough.
And so I really looked at that, but then I also looked at what's happening in society right now. And there's a lot of women's empowerment happening. There's feminist movement, the Me Too movement. There's just a lot around equality and empowering women, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm really glad that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of really good men that are falling through the cracks with this. Like they really don't know like how to handle everything that's happened, all the changes that are taking place in society. They don't, it's like almost like the rug has been pulled out from under them. They don't know their place anymore.
Yeah.
And so, there's always going to be the assholes out there that are just, taking advantage of people. And like, I don't want anything to do with them, but like, there's a lot of really good men that have lost their self-confidence. And so I really help with sexual confidence. So that way these good men can rise up and be the men that women desire them to be, because women are not attracted to men that are just like beat down and, they're just don't have any confidence. So they want men that are strong, that are empowered. But a lot of guys just don't know how to navigate sexuality in this new day and age. So I help with that a lot.
Yeah. And most of the time I feel like it's also like kind of like a snowball effect. Like most guys, not most guys, like I think it's not a very common thing actually, where like somebody will be like 25 and a virgin, for example, but most of the time when they like figure out like, oh, like I'm actually like capable of like doing this, then I feel like they start to get more and more results. But I'm not an expert like you, but that's just from what I see. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, it goes both directions. Like, for instance, we have this idea that our bodies are supposed to be robotic, that men are supposed to be hard all the time. We're supposed to, just be able to ejaculate no matter what. And it's not like that, right? Like the human body is very active to environment and what's going on. And so maybe a guy is super stressed out, or he's tired, or he's had too much to drink, and he comes fast that time, like more quickly than he usually does, or he doesn't get an erection, and then he gets shamed, or he has embarrassment from it, and then he gets in his head and gets anxiety. It's like, oh no, is this going to happen again? Do I have an issue? Do I have premature ejaculation? Do I have erectile dysfunction? And it just spirals, and then he sabotages. It's like this self-sabotage. Or the woman that he's with will, beat him down and make him feel really bad about it. And then, that makes it spiral even worse too. So in the group coaching program that I do, it's called Man on Fire. We have a group chat, and in this chat, the guys are posting their wins in life, like whatever it is that they're winning at. Like maybe they're winning at work or a relationship or as a dad. It doesn't matter, but focusing on the area of their life where they're actually winning. So we can get that type of upward spiral to help create those patterns in the brain.
that makes sense. So it's like a really psychological, you'd say. It's like more psychological than physical in a way. Or is that
The work that I do with guys is very much psychological and emotional, because many times guys come to me after they've gone to their doctor, and I always ask them, have you seen a doctor? Have you talked to your doctor about that? And most of the time they say, yes, the doctor told me it's all in my head.
Yeah.
They said go find a sex coach, go find a sex therapist, because the pill isn't going to help you. It's in your head.
Oh, I didn't know that was actually a thing. Okay. That's interesting. Have you ever like had to I've had people ask this a lot ever since people were like, oh, you do like grappling. People were like, have you ever used jiu-jitsu while having sex? It's like, I don't know. I feel like you like notice things, like you'll give them like a term, for example, like double underhooks. Like
Yeah, definitely. I'll say, like, I have one lover that is a lot of fun. He's a black belt, and he will role play. We'll actually do role play where like he comes in, he's like the black belt professor there to give the white belt private lesson. We'll like have the whole role play experience, which is really fucking hot.
Yeah, it's good to like explore new stuff too, especially like, yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, it's not like a common thing for like white belts to to like go on so many podcasts, I feel like, but I feel it's like the way that like you specifically, like when it's like you're training in like a good school first of all, but you also have like this like sex coach background, and in like a weird way it like mixes with jiu-jitsu in like a very interesting way. But I feel like that like interests a lot of people. And I was like, oh, that's very cool. Like,
Yeah, I was on Hanato Laranja's podcast, and I remember he interviewed me, and I was like, yeah, like all these people in jiu-jitsu world, they're like super interested. He's like, he calls me Sarrah Hose.
who is this guy?
He's like, Sarrah Hose, everyone is interested in what you
do. Yeah, it'd be like that though. And there's not like too many girls that train in jiu-jitsu either, or like martial arts in general. Jiu-jitsu is probably like more girls than other martial arts, I feel like. Have you ever trained in anything else, or is it just jiu-jitsu that you really?
Yeah, just jiu-jitsu. I mean, I first started martial arts for self-defense, and like jiu-jitsu was the part of it that really I felt connected to. And like, so that was when I left the school that I was at, I wanted to only be at a school that focused on Brazilian jiu-jitsu, because I knew like that was what I really loved.
Yeah, and it's really good for, especially for like smaller people, and women are generally like smaller than men. So it's a really good thing to get into. I didn't even like know about jiu-jitsu for the longest time. So I'm like doing striking all this time, and then I'm watching like the UFC, and I'm seeing like small people just like wrap around somebody. I'm like, yo, that's not wrestling. Like, that's cool. So I was like, I gotta learn that.
It is. It's really cool. But I will say, like, when wrestlers come into the school, I'll see guys, and you can kind of tell, like, if someone I'm sure most of the time they have like a white belt on, but you can tell if they have some wrestling background. And I always ask first, like, because I want to know what I'm getting myself into.
It screws us up though. I used to wrestle in high school, and then when I first started at jiu-jitsu, like in wrestling, it's terrible to get on your back because it's when you get pinned, right? So you go into jiu-jitsu and you end up on your back. You're like, no, I'm rolling back to my stomach. Like, I don't want to get pinned. It's just like natural, but then suddenly you have your back taken, and it's a really bad habit. But it's hard to get over. But when it's just like good to have that like that understanding of like balance on the ground. But it'll sometimes screw you over. It happened to me, so it took me forever.
I noticed that wrestlers just are a lot more aggressive.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
They definitely are the ones that just go for it. They don't hesitate. Yeah, so it's a different game than jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. That's my first couple of classes. In wrestling, the rounds are way shorter, and there we're doing like an hour like marathon rolls, like 6-minute rounds, and I'm like dead after the first round. I'm like, this isn't what I'm used to. So I had to like learn to just pace myself, and that was really hard. Was it difficult for you when you first started, just to like have you competed?
I have not competed yet. I really want to, and I keep saying I'm going to. And then like inevitably something will come up. Like there was a competition this last week that a lot of people from my school were doing, but I was filming all day. Like I had to redo all my sales videos, and so it's like I still have to choose work first. Yeah. As much as I love jiu-jitsu, got to make a living and
that makes sense.
Keep my business. And so like, and even most of the time, like on my tantric activation Instagram page, like I don't care. I'll post photos where I'm covered in bruises, because my followers know I do jiu-jitsu. But like if it's a sales video for people that have never met me before and this is their first introduction and they're like, what is this chick doing, like covered in bruises? So like I didn't train the week leading up to it, so that way it was like wasn't covered. I mean, I don't know. I guess women maybe just bruise more easily, but I'm always bruised.
Is it hard to like cover it up with makeup?
So yeah. Oh yeah, they don't cover up.
Oh really?
They're like massive. I don't think I have any on my arms right now, but I've got a big one on my leg.
Yeah, I've got one right under my sleeve.
Yeah, and I don't mind it. Like it's just it's like a normal part of life now. But when it comes to videos, introduce myself to like people who've never met me before.
It's always the spider guard too. Those will get me bruises all day.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
What's your favorite guard or like? Do you like being top or bottom in jiu-jitsu or both? I guess jiu-jitsu and and in bed.
Right? Yeah, I'm verse.
You say versatile?
Yeah, verse. That's like the term that that's like most often in the gay world is like, are you a top or a bottom? Oh, I'm verse.
Verse.
Like, yeah,
Never heard that one. That's funny.
yeah, yeah.
So what's your like your program? Is it like a month to month thing, or is it like just you like get the program and you have like a full list of videos or audio or like whatever it is? Like how does this like what's the structure to this program?
So I have two programs. I have Sex Stallion Training, which is a 7-week online program. So it's pre-recorded videos, pre-recorded audio. Each week, guys unlock a new video and a new audio. And the video is me telling them, okay, these are the practices you're going to do this week with an audio guide for them to learn along to. And in that, I'm teaching them how to control their ejaculation, like strengthening their PC muscles, really important.
Mm-hmm.
Guys over the age of 25, their PC muscle starts to weaken. It makes it less, not as easy to like hold their ejaculation, and also like it helps with blood flow. Like their blood flows down there starts to not be as strong. Mm-hmm. So I help with that first, and then second week is all about edging. And so edging is like on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 not turned on at all, 10 being ejaculating. I lead them like up and down that scale. So they're masturbating while they're doing the practice, and I'll say like, okay, bring yourself up to like a 9. And then bring yourself back down to a 7, and then back up to a 9, back down to a 7. So that way they get really good at noticing their body and their body's own ejaculatory reflex, because there's definitely a point of no return the guys get to. Once they hit that point where their ejaculatory reflex kicks in, they can't go back from it. And so I want guys to like really get good at knowing where their point of no return is. And then also the edging practice helps their orgasms become like really explosive. So instead of, just going straight for orgasm, like coming back down and then up again, down and then up, when they do come, it's like crazy intense.
Yeah.
So they learn how to do that. And then the next week, I teach them about separating, or like that's when they start learning how to separate their orgasm from ejaculation. So orgasm and ejaculation are actually two separate acts that occur at almost the same time, because biologically that is in nature's favor, right? Because orgasm feels really good. So guys want the experience of orgasm. And so they evolved for ejaculation to happen almost at the same time to entice them towards ejaculation, basically. But they are actually two separate things. So guys can have orgasms and not ejaculate. And when they learn how to do that, then they can have full body orgasms. They can like move their orgasmic energy through their body, have multiple orgasms like a woman can. So I teach all of that in Sex Stallion Training. Man on Fire is a coaching program that I do, and that's where we really get into like the psychological, the emotional component, and plus advanced tantric practices. So like guys in that program come out literally like the best lovers on the planet. Like no one else is teaching guys to be like this.
Is it like one-on-one coaching then, or?
So I do offer one-on-one coaching, but I prefer for men to be in the group coaching program, because in that program, they are in an environment of people that are encouraging them. They're realizing they're not alone. Their problems like aren't unique. Like everybody has issues like this. And it really does help facilitate their growth. They actually get more out of it. They learn at a more rapid pace. they're able to hear from other guys that have been in the program longer than them about like the amazing things they're doing now after 6 months in the program, and it gives them that inspiration to keep going, to stay with the practices. So yes, I do offer private coaching, but the group coaching program is really where it's at.
Okay. What if there was like a regular guy and he was like average build, and say they were to keep like their lifestyle the same, but they were to change like one thing? What would you say is like the best thing for them to change to like improve their sex life? Would you say it's like just exercise, or like have a healthier diet, or like doing Kegels? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, everything starts with a healthy diet. That's really the foundation for our physical health, our sexual health, our mental health. So much of that comes from diet, and also from environmental stressors. So the practices that I give, the tantric practices, really help with the stress of life, the anxiety, depression, things like that people have. But really, diet is the cornerstone of everything. So I think everyone that needs to start there, athletes, just everybody. As far as sexual health specifically goes, Kegels are very important, but I don't teach just Kegels. Like, you also need to do reverse Kegels. Most people don't teach that, so I teach I teach a special technique that actually helps guys get a lot more out of the Kegel, because if you just do the squeeze without like also pressing out, it's just going to create tightness there, and you're not going for tightness. You're going for more like muscle strength, muscle control, and actually you want to be more relaxed in that area of the body. So being relaxed in the pelvis, all of the muscles there is going to help facilitate having full body orgasms. So we're not looking for anything that's going to just create tightness. So that's why I have special like tantric ways, I guess, of going about it, that help both, like get the strength, but then also be able to relax.
Okay. Tantra or tantric is like relating to, it's like more mind stuff. That's what it means, right? Mind, or is it like just yoga? Which one?
So tantra is actually liberation.
Okay.
So like that's one of the fundamental foundations of tantra. The main philosophy is liberation. And so we do a lot of work around liberating ourselves from all of the conditioning that holds us back. So societal conditioning, things from religion, things from porn, the way that, society says a man is supposed to be this, things like that. And so liberating ourselves from all that to come into sovereignty, and to like, at the end of the day, it's like, who's got your back? You. What's the longest relationship you're ever going to have in your life? The only one, you. Developing self-love, self-acceptance, belonging with yourself, safety with yourself. These core fundamental needs that humans have, rather than needing to take these or get these from external sources. How do you develop this, cultivate this in your own person, in your own body, in your own life, so that way you can interact, meet people from that place, right? From a place of wholeness, place of sovereignty. And that's really where self-confidence comes from. It's like, I've got this, like I've got me. I don't need all this out there. That's icing on the cake. I enjoy it. I love being with people. I love my career. I love money. I love my relationship. I love sex. Like, I love all these things. But that's different than like, I need this. I'm coming to this of like, from a place of clinginess. So many people, they do that. They're in relationship. They're trying to take from somebody else to fill up a hole inside of themselves. And that's not a healthy way of relating to people. So once people learn how to have that, and then they can relate from that place.
Yeah, so that makes sense. So a lot of people don't even like realize they have like a problem until it's like not necessarily too late, but it's like getting there in a way. So yeah, that must suck.
Yeah, I'm actually doing, I have a daily newsletter that goes out. And this week I'm focusing on the 5 stages of the sexual development. And actually the first stage of sexual development is starts as a baby. Like babies will touch themselves just out of pure innocence, right? It's just like, it's not a sexual thing. If you see baby boys and they touch their penis when their diaper's off, they're not like trying to be weird or sexual or anything. It's just a natural part of their innocence.
Yeah.
And so often that stage gets shut down by people that don't understand that and try and layer adult ideology of what sex is onto this baby. And so when that gets shut down, like if an adult caregiver, slaps his hand away or says, no, that's dirty, don't do that, he will begin to have an aversion to it. And when he gets into his teenage years and starts masturbating, he will have this sense of shame that he's doing something wrong because that was what was ingrained to him. His innocent stage of development was disrupted. And then in the childhood phase of exploration and curiosity, where it's like playing doctor or, being curious about what's under your friend's dress, and it's like, this is a natural thing that a lot of kids do. And it's just curiosity. It's exploration, but when that state of like play gets shut down in kids, you'll see like many adults, they're not able to play in sex. Sex is very boring. It's very one-dimensional. They only have sex in one way. They don't explore. They're not curious about sex, right? Because that developmental stage got shut down. So there's, the 5 stages of it, but those are 2 very crucial components. And then layering on top of that, all the sexual abuse and trauma that people have, we're really walking around in a world that's pretty messed up when it comes to sexuality.
Yeah, and society just like messes it up like even more. So parents will like do one thing, and then society will contradict like what like parents or religion are saying in a way, but at the same time it'll like shun it. It's really weird, but yeah, that creates confusion.
It does. It really does. And so, adults, have these issues, for instance, like the 3rd stage of development being the teenage years. But in that time of like being able to be like the height of sexuality, like raging hormones, right? But also no understanding really of boundaries. And so people become very desensitized during that time because somebody says something about them or looks at them a certain way or, does something that doesn't feel good to them, and they don't stand up for their body. They don't stand up for themselves, and they shut that down, that part of themselves down, and they begin to disconnect. And so disconnection, desensitivity, those are 2 of the main things that men come to me for. They just don't feel when they're having sex. Like they know that there's so much more that's available and they just can't feel. And so I do a lot of work with them about becoming more sensitive to the sensations in their body so that sex can feel really amazing.
Before we do end it off, do you want to just shout out your social medias? Do you have a YouTube channel, websites, anything you want to just plug in?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So yeah, the school that I'm at again is the John Jacques Machado School, Austin, and I actually had their shirt on today. I have my JJ Machado shirt on. I just feel like a badass when I wearing the shirt. But my website is tantricactivation.com, and my business Instagram is Tantric Activation. And my personal jiu-jitsu page is Sarrah Rose Jiu-Jitsu. Sarrah has 2 R's, Sarrah, Sarrah Rose Jiu-Jitsu. I'm also on Facebook, not as much. Instagram is the main platform that I'm on. So that is where you can find me. Definitely get on the email list. I've got great information that comes out every day. I'm giving more information about, all these things that really impact us as sexual beings.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you coming on this call, and maybe depending on how well this video does, if people enjoy it, we could have a part two and get to know each other better.
Cool. Awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me.
Yeah, of
Appreciate it.
course. Yeah. Bye.